So this is part two of your scoring webinar, and I'm going to start directly with the scoring exercise. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will start and take a look. So here we are. You will have an Excel spreadsheet to complete your scoring exercise. There are 3 tabs. Tab 1 is the rubric. I'll go through and talk about each tab independently. Tab 2 is the actual scoring exercise itself. And then tab 3, we're going to talk about numbers. Yours will look a little different, but this is a practice tracking sheet for you to use should you watch other routines, and you can put them, all of your numbers, on one sheet. So let's go back to the first page. The very first page is the score sheet, has all of the indicators on it. It is a resource page only. It has every single indicator in all of the different captions. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see point totals and then an example of point totals. So that 30, 30, 30, 10. At the bottom is a reminder that you can use 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75. And then additionally, every page, every tab has the routine link for which you to score. So it's the same link on all the pages. A reminder of your division numbers. And then what do you do with your exercise afterwards? You email it to me in an Excel or number format. Please do not place it in a PDF format. And the due date you can see there, August 15th. So let's go to the training exercise itself. This on the left is an encapsulation of the score sheet with 30, 30, 30, and 10. This is where you will place your score. Up here is the routine link again. Best practices for doing the scoring exercise. Make sure that you're on a laptop or on a tablet. Open a Microsoft Word document, and you're going to watch the routine one time and then type in comments chronologically. You don't have to make complete sentences whenever you're watching it. You can go back and fill in the sentences, but practice typing your comments in. Then once you are done, you finished watching the routine, you finished your chronological comments, then from your Microsoft Word document, you're going to copy and paste each sentence into one of the 4 captions. So either the sentence refers to choreography or to technique or to execution precision or finally performance achievement. Then you can take a look and you can see visually before you've even gone to the numbers part of your exercise, wow, I had very few comments in choreography and they were all positive. That is something that when you go back to do your score, you'll realize, oh, I probably should have practiced and had more comments about choreography on things I wish that they would improve upon, or things that I gave in my critique that would be stronger and more educational. So this really is a great visual exercise. So again, you're going to take each comment and place it in one of the boxes. You can see where your tendencies are. Are you more technique driven, or are you more execution precision driven? Or what happens frequently is maybe you just said, great job on projection, but you didn't give them anything else under the performance achievement caption. So again, this is a great visual tool for you to learn from. Following placing in the 4 captions your different comments, then you'll just place your score in here and then have a total. Again, you will send it to me no later than August the 15th. Any questions or concerns, please reach out to me with that email address that's there. Happy to help you. We did have some people have formatting issues last year, so we had some runarounds or end arounds for the exercise. So please feel free to reach out. Now let's go and let's discuss numbers. I'll talk more about tracking sheets later. So whenever you are here, and I think it's very important that you realize whenever you are scoring what the foundation is. What are the bottom numbers? Remember when I told you and looked back both in the introduction video and also at the beginning of this video, it's important to know what your foundation is. The very top of proficient in every caption is 27, 27, 27, or a 9, and that's your 90, which is a Division 1. It's important to know that as an adjudicator. So What I love about a tracking sheet and why it's really used at the highest levels is because the teams are always so good, and it's so hard to compare and contrast sometimes, especially if they are in something that all genres, like we are, all genres and styles are being represented. So it's best to think about each caption and really think of what I think is the median, or what I think is the top level of proficient. Was it better, or was it um, needing a little more improvement? So let's do an example. Mary High School performs, and you thought, okay, that was a little better than the 27. That was trending more toward the accomplished, but the lower end of the of accomplished. It was most of the dancers for most of the time. And then, so that would be a 27.5, not a 0.25, but a 27.5 is a little bit better, not trending towards the middle of accomplished, which is a 28, but a 27.5. Technique, they were proficient top middle, a, a little bit not quite as proficient in their technique as I would like them to be, not my proficient level. So a 26.5. So again, that's top middle of proficient. And then going to execution precision, that was not quite as good either. That was more of a lower middle. That was a 0.25. It wasn't even a 0.5, it was a 0.25. And then going to performance achievement, perhaps they had a lot of hesitations, or you just felt like their carriage wasn't there, or their energy, or the last third of the routine, they lost a lot of the endurance and their carriage and their projection. So you gave an 8.25. So with one accomplished and three of the lower ends of the proficient, not the highest end, that was an 88.5. Now, the judge next to you, remember, she may give it a 90. The judge to your left could give it a 90. And so that would be a 112. You could still stay there with your two because they would receive a Division One. But if the judge next to you also gave an 88.5 and the judge to your right gave a 90, then it's a 122, which gives a Division Two. So it's important for you to realize that there's not a cumulative number that gives you a Division One or Division Two. Each judge gives or decides, watching the routine, credits or rewards a Division One or a Division Two. Let's take another example. Again, using the scoring chart, using the tracking sheet, going up and down the scale, really thinking about that ordinal, the 0.25, 0.5, 0.75. Is it just barely better? Is it halfway there, not quite a 28? Maybe it's a 27.75. I don't feel like it's a 28 compared to the 28s I've been giving. That's where you go, and why it's so important that we hold on to the first 5 routines to set a baseline so you feel confident where your numbers are, that you're consistently using the scoring chart. So let's say that Went High School performs. You feel that their choreography was accomplished, and it was really even better than a 28, a 28.25. Then let's say in technique, it was more of the lower accomplished, so a 27.25, still an accomplished, not quite the highest end of proficient. Then going to execution precision, almost to the top end, 26.75, but not quite that 27. And then lower proficient on performance achievement. Perhaps they had a lot of memory errors for the last half of the routine or for the last quarter of the routine. Remember that anytime you talk about numbers, it's like devising choreography without music. It's hard to get a gauge on it, which is why we want you to practice and why we want you to really dive in and feel like you know what a 27 is, proficient in looking at the videos. And that's the beauty of having the scoring exercise. Because if we receive, I'm going to say this one more time, but if we get in by mid-July, 35 or more of these scoring exercises, we'll hop on a live Zoom and have a discussion. And you can see where you were compared to everybody else. And we'll have all of the caption blocks on a spreadsheet. You'll receive that ahead of time of the call. You can see everyone's comments and how they phrase things. Those are great tools to have in your tool belt. So let's get back to numbers one last time. I wanted to show you how rich it looks when you see the 0.25, 0.75, point 0.5, how much it really tells the directors than just the 28, 28, 28.9 or the 27, 27, 27.9. You don't have to use the ordinals. 0.25, point 0.5, 0.75 as you judge. However, the more that you become comfortable, the more you tell the directors. Remember, our end goal is to judge caption by caption, but more than just the bottom number is communicating information. You can take your score sheet and say, yes, we were in Division Twos, but let me show you something. We were accomplished in choreography. That is the part that is the script. That is what they were given before they got out onto the floor. That's the one thing that doesn't change. So we had an accomplished score, and administrators will understand that because of the T-test language. And then you can say we were top, middle of proficient, almost there in technique. And then you can continue down. Every single caption tells you something. It's not just a number. It's a number that means something to the judges and something to you. And you should take pride in every number on that score sheet, not just the bottom one. So I hope that was helpful in talking about the different numbers. Again, if you have questions, please email me. That's what I'm here for. So as I said, we want to get all of that in by August the 15th. We will compile everything. It's important that you know names will not be listed. It will all be anonymous, Judge A, B, C, all the way down. So names are not put on the scoring chart. As I stated, if we receive 35 or more by mid-July, we'll have a live Zoom call. We'll announce it. Even if you didn't turn in your scoring chart, you're welcome to attend. So I encourage you to reach out to your fellow directors and have them also submit. Feel free to do this in a group. There's nothing that says you have to do this in a silo. Yes, type your own comments, come up with your own scores, but then gather together and discuss it. Remember the reason why we want it typed. We want all of this typed and put into these different caption boxes because it's easier to see where you put your comments. Is it in the correct caption? When you go to give your recap, you want to make sure that you're talking about choreography and not discussing something that really should be under execution precision. Is there enough meat on the bone, as they say, with your feedback, or is it too general? As I always tell judging panels, you each have a diverse background and everyone has expertise that will provide a unique voice to this exercise, but also on the judging panels. Every judging panel is like a symphony. We all have different areas that we focus on, whether it's choreography or technique or execution precision. We each see different details, but we absorb larger moments. That's why there's just not one person in the seat. There's three. So it's okay if you don't come up with exactly something the same as the person to your left and to your right. We will ask you to hone it in if it's 8 to 10 points outside of the range, but that's the goal of the assessor, who's the person that stands behind. Their job is literally they score on their own, but we just do that as a fourth backup as to what the number is. But then they show each judge, if they say, I'd like to see the numbers, they show where everyone is and not just the bottom score, because often all you have time, if you're talking to somebody to your left and to your right, is to say, hey, what'd you give them? But it's better to see what they gave in each caption so you can discover where your caption outlier is. Again, where your caption outlier is, so that you can see, oh, maybe there was too much personal preference, or whatever it is in that moment. You have knowledge in it as a judge to be able to make those decisions, because it is long and it is stressful to be a judge. As I said, be intentional in using your 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75 because they expand our ranges. Now there are more ways to give a Division I. There are more ways to say what you need to say in each of the captions. We're only using 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75 now, but you'll notice in the scoring charts, like everything else, it's created for a legacy. So down the line, if And when the membership and the judges and the leadership is ready for it to be point one, point two, point three, then everyone can begin working towards that training of really using all of the numbers. So just like listening to music and choreographing to a routine, the numbers, when practicing and scoring, they will tell you what to write down. So go back, and that's what's great about getting everyone's scoring exercise numbers in, because then you can share and you can see, and you can see where most people were in each of the different captions. So now I'm going to share my screen again, and I am going to show, let me pull it up, the tracking sheets. This is something that we use on site. On the tracking sheets, again, this is a tool that you must use, and this is the procedure. At the top, in column 1, you will be, or row 1, you will be writing the team names, just like you did your training exercise and then continuing on. So feel free to print one of these out. Then from there, you'll list your choreography score as you go across technique, execution precision, performance achievement, and your total score. You'll notice that this is going vertically, just like your score sheet, so that you can mirror that as you're putting your numbers in. The reason why I point that out is we have something for you later called the horizontal rubric or horizontal practice sheet. But this is the tracking sheet itself. So you'll put your judge number and you'll put all of the team names, and then you will be placing all of your numbers as they go across. So when scoring, you judge each caption independently. You place each caption score immediately in the caption box. Reflect on the percentage of the team accomplishing the work. Remember, was it the entire group? Was it the majority? And then how long? Was it most of the routine? Was it few? Then you add up all of those numbers, you discuss, and then once it's approved and everyone knows that they're within range, then you place it either in the laptop onto the computer program, or you place it on your score sheet. We will insist that you use these tracking sheets, and there's a couple of different reasons. We may end up having some kind of computer glitch. So it's very important that we have a backup on paper so that if something happens and your scores were lost, sometimes that happens, or Wi-Fi disconnects and we lost your numbers, you have all of your numbers, and there is authenticity, credibility, reliability by everyone, so that there is always a backup. Do note that you do not keep these tracking sheets. At the end of the event, we collect them and we have you rank your top 5 just to see, just for you to know where you ranked. It's always interesting to do that. And as we continue the training, that's very important. We also ask that you list your D2 and D3 scores. You note them some way on the tracking sheet, either put a star at the top if it's a D2, or if it's a D3, make a different symbol. Then that way you have a visual as to what is a D2 and what is a D3, that you always know. You can go back and look, and occasionally we'll ask you, take a look at your D2s. Do you have consistencies in there? Do you see, and are you using your numbers? Do you feel very confident about how you've given your D2 and your D1? That's very important. Rely on your scoring chart numbers and the words for your ratings. I also want to emphasize that distinguished is just that, distinguished. Giving a 29 or a 30 in a caption, remember that range is very small, just like it is in an accomplished. A 20, 30 in a caption, you should be mindful of the words and the word choices in that title. All dancers, for the entire duration of the routine. When we were working on the scoring charts, all of the caption committee directors said, please keep distinguished, let everyone have something to work for. So it's important that you remember that as we continue this process, people will grow, things will happen. So we need to have a direction to go there. So distinguished is a 29 or a 30 is all dancers for the entire routine. So continue keeping that very special. Judges should be aware that this is an exceptional standard and not liberally give distinguished scores without intentionally recognizing all dancers for the entire duration of the piece. It allows us to build things and things to strive for. Remember that it will be your job as an adjudicator to thoroughly know the score sheet, to understand the general procedures, like these tracking sheets, and evaluate the most entertaining routines at the TDEA assessments. So now let's look at some other tools that we have created for you. This one was created by Mitzi Phillips. This is the horizontal rubric, and this you keep. We do not ask this of you. So any notes that you make, please keep it. How to use it, everyone has their own way that they do, but how it has been, how I've seen it used a lot, and feel free to call other assessors that you know, is that when they're watching the routine, if they like something in musicality, they put a plus. If something's with phrasing, they may write phrasing off in transition, or use of manipulatives. They might write something like palm was not used, palm was used like a jazz, or whatever they want to say, they're going to write that there. Same with everyone. Just a little as you're watching, you just write down on the side. And then when they go to give their verbal recap, they just look at that in choreography and they go through each one, just like you heard Betsy do in film number 1. So this is the horizontal rubric. Another tool that we have for you, remember to use, keep it out, are these adjudication descriptors. Really continue using them, making sure that you are using the words. If you are really thinking it's brilliant to say that, don't use brilliant and then give a proficient score. Also remember that we have the Judge STEMS document, which is new this year. Things to consider using, things to perhaps not say. And this was created by the entire committee. People added in information, things that maybe they didn't appreciate hearing, or things they appreciated hearing, or the way it was said. So if you have any ideas to add to the Judge STEM document, please email me, add on. We're very happy to do that. So be sure when watching to comment on all aspects of the performance, not just focusing on those technical elements. Remember, there are tendencies, typically people who love jazz and modern and lyrical, they really love to really stay in that technique zone. And people who love palm and high kick, they really love to stay in that execution precision zone. Make sure, that's the beauty of the scoring exercise, that you try to fill all those boxes equally. And remember to always share the how and the what. The how and the what. The what is what you are taking off points for, or you're crediting for. And then the how is how they make it better, because this is created by Texas dance educators for Texas dance educators. Strong adjudicators educate, but remember, you are an amazing adjudicator, so use your own style. Use your own style. Don't feel like we all have to be the same. That's the beauty of it. Call other people, listen to their verbal critiques, and remember that we're going to have those live assessments in August where mentor and rookie judges can get together. We can all get together and watch 4 routines. It'll be just 2 hours, and we'll practice. You'll practice giving verbal critiques. You'll have mentor judges there. We'll all discuss. And again, it's not meant to be other than a great platform for all of us to learn in a live setting, because watching videos versus watching live routines, performance achievement alone is a little bit different, scoring live versus scoring on a video. We are giving ratings only to teams, ratings only. But we still must be consistent and trained to score. So you will be filling out and giving a number. We will be looking for outliers, and then we'll continue to tighten our understanding of the what of the numbers. Remember that for the TDEA assessment, our goal, your goal as a judge, is to evaluate caption by caption. Every team has its own strengths and weaknesses on the score sheet. So by scoring caption by caption, you're crediting the performance areas and the captions that are strong. And then you're providing that numerical score that correlates to your feedback. And also, you're educating them on the areas that they need improvement. And remember that every caption has a name, every number has a name on that scoring chart: distinguished, accomplished, proficient. Be prepared to score using your tracking sheet first, then place it onto your iPad or your score sheet. And remember, we do that so that in case there's any technical glitches, we're able to retrieve numbers instantly. Practice using that 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75. It becomes easier through time. Know your division ratings of a 90, 100 D1, 89 to 80 D2, 79 and lower D3, and 69 and lower D4. If you have any questions, any concerns, reach out to any of us on the committee. We're happy to help. Thank you for watching. Good luck with that scoring exercise, and we'll see you at the fall assessments and the spring assessments.